All right, let's get right into it. If you're on the path to a marriage-based green card in the US, you know it's a serious journey. Today, we're going to break down one of the most confusing parts of that journey, how you go from that first temporary green card to the real deal. So let's dive in.
Okay, picture this. You've done all the paperwork, you ace the interview, and you finally get your green card in the mail. It feels amazing. But then you look a little closer, and you see it expires in just 2 years. And you're probably thinking, wait, what? I thought this was permanent. This is the one thing that catches so many people off guard, and we're going to clear it up right now.
And here's why. There are actually two different kinds of marriage-based green cards. If you've been married for less than 2 years when you get approved, what you get first is a conditional green card. You can think of it as a 2-year probationary period. Once you prove your marriage is still legit and going strong, you get to graduate to the main event, the permanent green card, which is good for 10 years and means you have full permanent residency. Now, here is the absolute best way to think about it. Your first 2-year card, it's like a learner's permit for driving. Yeah, you're on the road, you've got rights, but there's a big condition attached. That 10-year card, though, that's your full driver's license. No more tests, no more conditions. You are a fully fledged permanent resident. So let's talk a little more about that learner's permit phase. What is this conditional period really all about? Well, your official title during this time is Conditional Permanent Resident. And the whole point of this 2-year window, the only reason it exists, is so the US government can double-check that your marriage is the real deal and that it wasn't just a way to get immigration benefits. It's basically a test, and your job during these 2 years is to collect all the proof you're going to need to pass it. And here's exactly how you end up in that category. It all comes down to simple math. Look at the date you got married, and then look at the date your green card was approved. If the time between those two dates is less than 2 years, boom, you automatically get the 2-year conditional card. It's just a rule based on timing. So this all leads to the one thing you have to prove, that you have what the law calls a bona fide marriage. You're going to see this term everywhere, so get used to it. All it means is a real marriage, one you entered into because you want to build a life together, not just as a paper-for-paper transaction to get a green card. Everything we talk about from here on out is about proving this one simple idea. Okay, now for the most important part. Let's talk about the evidence. This is how you build your case, piece by piece, to get those conditions removed. You know, what's fascinating is that USCIS isn't just looking for a marriage license. Anyone can get one of those. What they're really looking for is the story of your shared life. They want to see how your two lives have merged into one, and that story is told through the paper trail you've been creating since the day you got married. Now, the absolute strongest evidence you can have is financial and official. Why? Because it's not just you saying you're a couple. It's your bank, your landlord, the IRS, your insurance company. All of these neutral third parties are basically vouching for you. Nothing screams "we're a team" louder than a joint bank account, a mortgage with both your names on it, or filing your taxes together. This stuff is the absolute bedrock of a strong case. But, you know, the official stuff is only half the picture. You also need to add that personal touch, the color to your story. Photos are amazing, but here's a tip. Make sure you write on the back who's in them, where you were, and the date. Travel tickets, letters from friends and family swearing that you're a real couple, and of course, if you've had a child together, that birth certificate is pretty much the ultimate proof. Okay, so you've spent the better part of 2 years gathering all this amazing evidence. Now what? You have to file Form I-751. And listen, the timing here is everything. You have to file it in the 90-day window right before your 2-year card expires. Not a day before, and you definitely don't want to be late. You pack up all that evidence with the form, send it off, and then wait for a decision. So, once you filed your I-751 and it gets the green light, you've done it. You have officially crossed the finish line. Let's take a look at what that means for you. And there it is. The moment USCIS approves your petition, that word conditional is gone from your status forever. You are now a full lawful permanent resident. They'll mail you that beautiful 10-year green card, and you can finally take a huge sigh of relief. And what's so great is that this whole process puts you on a special, faster track to US citizenship. Most people have to wait 5 years, but because you're married to a US citizen, you can actually apply after just 3 years, as long as you're still living together and you meet all the other requirements. It's a huge perk. Now, to make sure you actually get to that finish line, it's so important to know about the common mistakes that can trip people up. Let's cover some of the big ones you need to avoid.
So, take a guess. What do you think is the number one, top of the list reason that these cases get denied? It's something we've been talking about this whole time. Yep, you guessed it. The single biggest mistake is just not sending in enough good, strong evidence that your marriage is real. You could have the most loving marriage in the world, but if your paperwork doesn't tell that story, USCIS can deny your case. It's as simple as that. And these numbers right here show you exactly why this matters so much. This is for the I-130 petition, which is the very first step. And yeah, while most get approved, look at that denial slice. It can get up to over 15%. That means more than 1 in 10 couples hit a major roadblock right from the start. This is not a rubber stamp process. The stakes are very real, and it all boils down to the quality of your proof.
And here are a few other big ones. Messing up the financial support forms is huge. Submitting documents that aren't properly translated or certified is another one. Having dates or names that don't match across different forms is a major red flag. And of course, missing that critical 90-day filing deadline for your I-751. Every single one of these can sink your case, but they are all totally avoidable if you're careful. And let's not forget about the money involved. By the time you add up all the government filing fees for the whole process, just for someone applying from inside the US, you're looking at over $3,000. That right there is a pretty massive incentive to get everything right the first time so you don't have to pay fees all over again. So I'll just leave you with this last thought. Your life together, your partnership, that's the story. The entire immigration process from start to finish is just about one thing: making sure your paperwork is good enough to tell that story loud and clear.